Hello everybody and welcome to episode 30 of Competitive Magic with the Karnies. I'm your host from Italy, Andrea Mengucci, and joining me we have as always Javier Dominguez from Spain.
Hello everyone.
And Anthony Lee from Australia.
Hola.
Although it's not just the three of us today, we have a special guest. It's all the way from Colombia. We have Carl Sarap, aka Terribad.
Hey, how are you?
Welcome, Carl. It's a pleasure to see you here. Actually, I don't actually see you, but you know the way this podcast works, it's kind of like we're seeing each other. And actually, I will see you soon in Minneapolis. I have played, I would say, 5 or 6 times against you on Magic Online these days, and it's a pleasure to hear your voice now.
Yeah, I remember the last time we played. I asked you to put Sue back on the tier list, so.
Yeah, we actually played for stakes. We were in the 1-2 bracket of an MTGO preliminary, and Carl challenged me. He said, if I beat you, you will put Zoo in the top 15 modern decks in the next power ranking. And he defeated me, so I guess I'll have to pay my price and put Zoo back in the tier list this month.
Top 15?
All right. Top 15, yeah, 1-5. Yeah.
Wasn't it really top 15? Like for
no,
me?
I removed it last month.
Why? Okay, justice.
All right, Carl. The reason why you're here is because you are a good friend of Anthony and Javier. You are their teammates for how long? How long have you been testing with each other?
So with Anthony and Javier, we have tested for 2 tournaments now, right? Or is it 1? I actually...
It's 2, I think. Worlds and then this, yes, maybe.
Yeah. You helped us for Worlds because you also tested for the set championship that I was not qualified for. At least Javier did.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you were just there, but we didn't talk much.
So you mentioned the World Championship. That is the most recent one. And how did you do in that World Championship? Tell the listeners about your previous achievement in the Magic, the Magic days that you played.
The tournament was great. I mean, I got 4th place, Nathan got 1st place. Like, even though we didn't team together, it still felt like part of our team. We split in 2 because it was too many people for this small field tournament. But yeah, I mean, I'm extremely happy. I didn't really expect to top 4 that tournament. But
it's a good problem to have.
Had a...
When the team is so big, you have to split up because you're too much of the field.
Yeah, I mean, you keep joking that we're team 50% because we just make up 50% of the top 8 all the time.
Happened there too.
That's very good. Yeah, definitely dominated the arena days of Pro Magic and also the paper days of Pro Magic. As your team did very well in the most recent Pro Tour. How did you do in that Pro Tour?
In that Pro Tour, myself personally, I went 1-5, and I mean, Nathan still top-8 again, and Tangram's got 9th on breakers. I think overall we did like good, but I didn't really think that we did great in that tournament. Like, it's kind of weird. If I think back, like the Pro Tours I used to play before, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, then if like one of my teammates would top-8, I would think it's the greatest tournament ever. And now it's like it really feels like somebody's going to top-8 like every tournament. And
yeah,
I don't know how long this is.
You're like only 1?
Yeah, it's like only 1 in top 8. Well, okay, I guess this was an average tournament.
That's why they got us, Anthony. So we bring down the average. They
very
have
clever,
us. So we're there, adding to the non-top 8ers slots. Yeah.
All right. You also did very well this past weekend as you qualified to the MOX, the very prestigious 8-people event where there's one winner from almost every format, and you got the job done in Pioneer with Abs and Greasefang. Tell us a little bit more about your success, your deck choice, and why you picked up Greasefang.
First of all, I think like top-8ing or like winning this tournament, top-8ing the MOX, for me this is bigger achievement than top-8ing a Pro Tour. Like, I'm so excited about this because this is like, I mean, in terms of the prize money, it's basically the same as the Pro Tour. It's slightly less, but whatever. But I get to draft Vintage Cube for like $20,000. It's like my biggest dream in life, just to draft Vintage Cube for such stakes. And why I played Greasefang is, I mean, I tested for this tournament a little bit. I mean, most of the testing was done for the Broader, and I had regrets not playing the Greasefang deck at the Broader after I did bad. I played Mono Green there, and I mean, I just thought that it would be the best deck, really. Like, people still don't have enough graveyard hate or hate cards against Greasefang in their deck, so I think it's very well positioned right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely jealous of you playing Vintage Cube for stakes. It is definitely a great. I mean, I tried to qualify, but of course it's so hard. You first have to top 8 a showcase challenge or 5-0 an LCQ, and then you have to win this tournament, going like what 7-1 maybe even. So yeah, certainly a great achievement against some of the best player of Magic Online. But so yeah, you played Greasefang, and once again, we've been mentioning on the podcast about just Greasefang's success, and yeah, I mean, this deck is definitely, I guess it was unrepresented before, because there's no really new card from the latest set in this list.
Yes, I didn't really like the old Greasefang list either, but Tangrams or David Inglis, he found the Vessel, and like the Vessel combination with Traverse makes the deck so much more consistent. Like, it's themed like as a luck deck, but I don't really think it's a luck deck anymore, because you just have your pieces all the time. So it's more about like how do you sequence them and how do you use them, rather than are you going to find the Greasefang.
Oh, the luck deck thing is definitely more about vibes than actual facts, so we're very clear.
Yeah, the ultimate thing that determines if the deck is a luck deck or not is Mango's feelings on it.
Yeah, his feelings don't care about your facts. Yeah.
Yeah, so. Even if the deck is hard or whatever, you know, if it's a luck... Hammer is also a luck deck, even though, you know, it's very hard to play, whatever. I think they're similar in that regard. They're just both luck decks that happen to be very, very hard to sequence.
Yeah, I would say that this most recent list, cutting the 1-1 that mills 3 cards, what's in it, Stitcher Supplier, and adding Vessel and Traverse definitely gave the deck more consistency than just hoping to mill your, Parhelion in the top 10 cards or whatever of your deck. But I would say that the deck list definitely tuned since I played in the event in Sofia in November, the RC. So I like, yeah. It'll be challenging to test again for the next regional championship in June, as we'll definitely have to respect Greasefang way more than we did in the last time. But yeah, so the mocks, what format is it? Vintage Cube and
they haven't announced the second format yet, so we don't know.
Ooh.
Oh.
Would you rather it be modern or Pioneer?
Ideally, it would be vintage, but I mean, I don't really have a preference between Pioneer or Modern. They're kind of similar to me.
And you assume it will be one of those?
I guess like I like Modern more because the games are faster, so I can test like more. That's like the one thing I like about Modern the most.
Am I misremembering, or did you already qualify for a MOX, like the very last
Yeah,
MOX?
I played the last one as well. I won the limited qualifier.
Nice,
Jeez.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. How did you place in that one?
I lost 2 win-ins for the top 2. I went 2-1, 2-1.
Oh, wow.
Redemption then.
Yeah, but we tested so much.
rough.
Like I played like 40 matches of Modern, and like I literally did 100 vintage cubes. So
To be fair, I feel like you were going to do 100 vintage cubes whether you were qualified or not. So, you know.
maybe not that much, but yeah, I would have played like maybe 50 cubes or something. But we just champed cubes every day, all day. Like, you know, we have a competitive Discord where we just play for push-ups against each other, and you know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so do you love the vintage cube the most among all the cubes that you tried? Because if I'm not misremembering, that was Modern Cube, right?
No, it was vintage cube in the last one. The one before was Modern Cube, I think. And I mean, I love vintage cube. I don't really play any other cubes. Like I've tried Modern Cube and Legacy Cube, but for me, they're like, you know, it's like comparing Pauper to vintage. Like in one format you can cast Black Lots and Ancestral Recall. In another format you're just grinding, you know, with boring cards.
Yeah, playing with powerful cards is amazing. I can get behind that. But have you ever played Vintage Cube in paper?
No, never. I mean,
No.
None of my friends really have that kind of cards.
Maybe maybe there's an opportunity in Minneapolis, you know.
Yeah, why not?
I won't be bringing my cube, but you're always welcome in Senegalia to play Vintage Cube if you show up somehow.
I'm sure there'll be someone with a vintage cube at MagicCon. I'm sure of it. Just have to find it somewhere. It'll happen.
Yeah, but again, congratulations on this success. Speaking of Pioneer, to the listeners that haven't checked the previous episode that we released on the podcast and on my YouTube channel, Javier, our very own Javier from Dominguez, here we have it. He released a solo episode audio guide about Pioneer Rakdos of about 50 minutes. Make sure to listen it because it's definitely worth your time. I just listened at the beginning. I will definitely go for a walk in these days and manage to to listen to the whole episode. I look forward to hear the differences because Rakdos Midrange is a deck that has a lot of different builds. For example, Javier list is different than Shota Yazoka, and I look forward to hear the reasons why two very strong players would come so different in choices.
Yeah, I also have the Javier podcast about his deck on my like waiting list of things I want to listen to. I haven't had time yet.
Yeah, he definitely goes fairly in depth with that. And I think that's something that we were interested to see if people found particularly enjoyable or useful. I suppose we hope it's useful, but your feedback would be greatly appreciated in that regard. Like in particular, not only about the content but the audio format. So specifically, the idea of like, do you find, for example, that it's better when that information is conveyed to you in a written form or in this kind of hour-long audio recording? So maybe Javier has something to say about the deck guide itself.
Yeah, I mean, it was more an experiment. Like, I didn't know if people will prefer like these or be like, we'd rather have an article or something. But I mean, I'm glad it seems that it was liked so far. So we'll discuss a little bit, but maybe that's a decent format to have content, especially for these people that are not like really into articles or whatever. It's just like
Yeah.
So it's just like when a friend comes to you and say like, can you help with me? Can you help me about this deck? Tell me how you approach your plans or whatever. So it's basically the same, but you're doing it for all your friends at the same time. So that's also.
So next time I ask you for help, you're just gonna send me a YouTube link. I get it. That's fine.
Exactly. Or maybe I do another podcast. Yeah. So I send it to you so you can just listen to it. Yeah.
Very helpful.
Do you remember, Javier, when you asked me info about a vintage deck that I played and I just sent you 10 minutes vocal message on WhatsApp or something?
I do remember, and that was somewhat the inspiration for this podcast, to be fair. So I do remember, and that was very useful. This happened once. Like Mengucci just broke down this whole deck in 10 minutes or whatever. And I was like, wow, this was good, And yeah, I mean, I wanted it to be a little bit shorter. Ideally, I was expecting 40 minutes or whatever, but I guess I just talked too much. But yeah, I think this format is good. Also easy to replay again and again, if you need to, going driving to your tournament, you can just listen to it on your way to the tournament. That's pretty good.
And the way Javier posted, it was open for everyone. Sometimes when people release this premium content, it's behind a paywall, but the way Javier wanted to disclose it was exactly as it was, so it was free for everyone. And if you'd like to support, you can go directly on patreon.com/Karnies. We had a lot of new Patreons, so it's time to thank them all. It was Dan Kotzi, Tyler, Mario, Kyle, Giliak, Niv, Juris, Avind, and Jacob, and you all subscribed to the Patreon last week. I would say mostly because of the help that Javier gave you with the Pioneer article, I guess that guide, and then you joined the Discord. There was a lot of discussion where these people managed to ask questions. Javier responded, so it was definitely nice. It was very good to see the whole thing unfold. And again, I'm ever excited to listen to the podcast as I have to play some Pioneer again soon because of the next RC.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I'm also sorry if Mengu butchered your name, as usual.
He probably did.
I mean, yeah, names are hard, you know.
We appreciate that. I'd love to see it.
Thank you. And but yeah, let's talk about a little bit about the showcase qualifier that Carl won. The finalist, so Carl won with Greasefang, again, a list that is pretty stocked at this point ever since David Inglis did well in the PT. But the second place deck list is still, I mean, it's doing results after result, but it's still kind of a brew. And it is the Neoform deck that plays 8 Delph Creature, Hooting Mandrills, and Taziger, and Neoforms into Atraxa. And I guess at this point, this is no more a brew. It's just a solid deck that is keep on performing at the highest stage of Magic Online.
That deck is really interesting. Like, there was actually 2 copies in the top 8. So
that really threw me. Yeah, when you said there were 2 Neoform decks in the top 8, I was like, really? That felt like that almost came out of nowhere. Like, not exactly, but I definitely wouldn't have guessed that multiple people played Neoform and then did well with it. So
I have.
There were actually like 4 players playing the deck in the tournament.
Yeah, although it's interesting because 2 of them had Soulflare and they didn't win a match, and then the other 2 top 8'd. So, if I recall correctly, something like
exactly,
that. Anyway.
But it's probably like among the most played decks in the tournament, right? Like I don't have the full breakdown in front of me right now, but it must be among the most played decks, and that's, if you think about it, it's crazy. You know, out of nowhere, it's just Greasefang. I mean, sorry, like Neoform, like bang, 4 copies. I don't know.
That's true, yeah. That does happen more at these showcase events where it's like an elite field. I guess it's more likely that you see that where people have wider ranges, I guess.
Yeah, but it's also like their deck list. I mean, they were kind of similar on the shell, but the sideboards were like vastly different. Like one has like Kaito, Glissa, whatever, and the other one is like a lot of reinforcements. So they probably didn't work together. Otherwise, they will have not such like differences, I think, or at least like not that much. So there's just like 4 different players just came to the conclusion that Neoform was the best deck for the tournament. That's that means they tried it and they liked it a lot. And this is a deck that traditional has been pretty bad, like Neoform decks. So that makes me think maybe this deck is actually pretty strong.
My observation of the deck is that it can go over the top of the decks, but I am still unsure if it can actually beat Graveyard Hate. Like, I don't think many people played like Leyline of the Void in this tournament, and if people play Leyline of the Void, maybe the deck just crumbles. And but yeah, it was really interesting to see that it had like a 50-50 win rate in the tournament. For me, one like when I was doing scouting for the tournament, I wrote down what I would expect everybody to play, and the biggest surprise for me was that nobody played Lotusfield in the tournament, although I thought that it would be like a great meta game for Lotusfield right now.
Yeah, I mean, Lotus is also one of these decks that your cyber slots are not super taxed, right? So you can just play good like cyber hate for these decks, for Greasefang, for Neoform.
And you liked the idea of Lotus, right? Like, you would have played Lotus if you had more time, I assume. Or,
yeah, like
you said you didn't like,
the Lotusfield deck, like for me, it's like maybe now I think Greasefang is the best deck, but before the tournament I thought Lotusfield is the best deck in the format. But it's like so difficult to play. Like, I don't know, like when I watched Nathan play Lotusfield, it's just something different, like it's like watching a Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon, his eyes are shining and he's just finding lines that, like, I would think like, okay, in this spot looks like a pretty good spot, you can win next turn, and then he would just starts casting his spells and wins on that same turn, and I'm like, what is happening? This is not possible.
Man. Yeah, so it's really, I mean, maybe other people had the same sort of sensation where they were concerned about their ability to play Lotus, and then nobody showed up with it, which was pretty odd. But I think that might also be part of Neoform's success, because I can imagine that's a deck that just doesn't care at all about an Atraxa in play. So, maybe that helped, I guess. Like, I assume most Pioneer events won't have literally 0 Lotus players in them.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting also, there were 3 blue-white control decks in top 8, which was a big rise for blue-white.
Yeah, why is that? Like,
Yeah.
why is blue white? I mean, I don't know. Blue white is always there, even though it looks like bad or whatever. But why? At least this time they all had like this Jorian build. I remember once where they had like 2 different challenges with one blue white of each style, like in a top 8. But yeah, blue white maybe the deck that did better, right, in the tournament compared to the field, most likely.
Either blue white or Greasefang, because there was 2 Greasefang in top 8. I actually don't know how many Greasefang were played overall. Maybe it was like 4 copies as well or something.
It's 2 in top 16 at least. I don't know the rest, but yeah.
Yeah, there weren't that many when you were in the scouting thing, right? Like there were, maybe you expected like 4, maybe.
Yeah,
It
something.
didn't seem
like
like it was like overwhelmingly popular.
It is so strange because you look at Greasefang and you're like, wow, this is a combo deck that's, has interaction and can turn 3 combo, whatever, like you can see why it's good. But then you see this Jorian blue white and you're like, yeah, I mean, this plays like 4 Omen of the Sea, that's
Yeah, it just has horrible cards compared to everything.
I just don't get it. I mean, honestly, I just don't get it. Like the metagame positioning is excellent, that is true. But other than that, it's kind of strange to me. One of them played the Leyline Binding build, which honestly feels a little bit more appealing to me because it's probably going to be more resilient against stuff like Black Red or the such that are supposed to be like not good matchups, because Binding is a very good card against those decks. But I don't know, like. Every time I pick up these decks, I just lose a lot.
How many of the blue-white players who play blue-white just only play blue-white? I feel like that might be more true for blue-white than other decks. Like they just know how to play blue-white and just spam it every single event.
I mean, you can see this, but it's very, I think when it comes to these tournaments, these Mox tournaments, it's not as clear as it is in other.
That's true.
In other events
Challenges or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a distinct difference.
Also,
yeah, exactly.
The Leyline Binding player, shout out to them. It's Derek Davis. They got 4th place in the Pro Tour in Philadelphia.
Oh, with Incarnation, right?
Yes, and I was also very surprised they switched off Incarnation for this tournament because I was expecting them.
Well, Incarnation and Blue Control.
Leyline Binding.
Yeah, they're family. They are. I mean, I can see a player jumping from Incarnation to Blue Control. That those 2 decks are kind of same spirit, animal spirit. You know what I mean? Like they're the same kind of deck in a way. They just having.
Also, they play both Yorians, kind of.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, Jorian and big cards. Like good cardish. Yeah, I don't know why, but if I was going to group Pioneer decks in pairs, these 2 decks will go together, for sure.
Yeah, I would say that Incarnation definitely struggles against all these combo decks that are in this top 8, and maybe control decks with 3 Dovin's Veto and 4 Absorb has a better time.
Yeah, maybe they expected this a fall of metagame of combo decks, and they just played this deck. I mean, if I see this top 8, I think actually blue-white, this may be the best deck to play against this top 16 or something. So, because also creativity decks, they just lose to blue-white horribly. That's probably the reason why they were not there. And at least game 1, I don't know about the sideboard, but it's not easy to play with creativity against blue-white. I don't know. Yeah, maybe blue-white is just a super good deck to be playing now.
What's the reason to play with Yorian that wasn't true before? Because I remember mostly it was blue-white 60 cards, like Nassif, top 8, top 16, the RC and Sofia, or things like that. You use always 60 cards.
I don't know. I never liked the Yorian more than the other one. I felt the Yorian one was worse, but yeah, I mean, it's only Omen of the Sea, right? That literally gets
yeah.
I think the reason is this one is better against Black Red.
So, yeah, that's
Jorian is actually
exactly
a card
better
against
Black Red and nothing else.
Yeah.
But it is pretty good against Black Red.
Like one more card and the card being a 4/5 flying against Black Red is,
Yeah, I was thinking about the same, but I don't know. Rakdos doesn't show up in any of there's no. Yes, it was 1 at the PT in top 8. There's 0 in this top 8. I guess in the Honor G, won the Honor G. So there's definitely some Rakdos, but it's just maybe way less than used to be at the beginning.
It also has to be good in the mirror match, right? Like Jorian version has to be ahead in the mirror match, even if it's more about having more threats, because you have more threats because you play Jorian, in terms of because this is a classic matchup where there are more answers than threats almost. So having more threats probably matters, even though I don't know if Jorion counts as a threat. I guess it
Well,
does.
it's a matchup where Omen of the Sea is sick. So you have Omen of the Sea in your deck and it's,
Yeah, also
Red
that.
Mirror, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not a
But
blue-white control specialist, but I tend to have this logic that if a card is banned in an older format, then it's probably a good card.
well, but this card is banned just because it's like logistically annoying. Like I don't think it was never banned on parallel purpose. It was banned because everyone was going to time with
So they
Jorion
say.
decks and modern. I mean, I think it's kind of clear they did not ban it on power.
Actually, I have another reason why it's banned, but Anthony doesn't like it, so we will.
Well,
just,
let's pretend Anthony's not here. We can vote. We can vote if we let Mango say the reason or not. Shall we?
Okay, I vote no.
I vote yes.
I want to hear it.
Okay, 3v1. Yeah, GG.
Okay, Anthony, close your ears. But I think that the reason why Yorion was banned is because the price of the modern decks were too expensive, and Wizards didn't want decks to be so expensive in modern.
Oh yeah, that's definitely their biggest concern. Not making sure that modern isn't too expensive for people to play. That definitely makes a lot of sense. Yep.
All right, yeah. Other than that, I mean, there's if I was going to pick Blue Eye Control, I will have to choose a still like, you play Temporal Lockdown or you don't. You play Leyline Binding or you don't. There's still a lot of choices. I kind of want to try Blue Eye Control now, though.
No.
What about the deck that plays Neoform? It plays a card that when it got printed, everybody went crazy about it. I think it would be played in every format. That was Founding the Third Path. No decks picked up this card, but this Neoform Pioneer deck does. So, yeah, this card is super powerful if you read it for the first time. And then, I guess...
Were people excited about that card?
I love that
I mean,
card.
I don't remember being excited. I mean, maybe you were excited.
So many Legacy players were excited about this card.
Really?
Okay.
The things that this card can do, it's great.
It can flashback and just to recall. I can see that. That's
Also
powerful.
you can flashback the thing. What's it called? Expressive iteration and
not
so on.
not anymore.
No, not anymore. That's true.
or see the truth.
Or see the truth. Yeah, no, that one.
See the truth, yeah.
Yeah. Do they please see the truth in this list?
I don't think so, but
okay.
they could.
No, yeah, you have strategic planning to fill the graveyard, as well as otherworldly gaze and consider.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
almost strange to me that this deck only plays to consider. Isn't consider like a multi-format superstar as make disappear? Like only two is kind of strange.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, every time I think of multi-format superstar, I always think of make disappear. I don't know why. Like Anthony said it once, and
I think
just,
I said it. I don't know. I thought it was funny because it just looks like such a random card. It
Yeah,
starts
but
playing multiple forms.
it's with me forever.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, make disappear away also staple in every single blue-white control deck. They all play make disappear, so it is truly a multi-format superstar.
I assume
Wow,
it
it's
considers
true.
that just that they decided to have some number of slots for 1-drops, like 1-mana spells. And like otherworldly gaze is a more important one, I guess. Like, I'm not sure that makes sense. Like, 2 consider is just such a bizarre number in general, but I have to assume it's something like that because they're probably quite taxed in terms of their slots, right? Like, they have to play so many of the slots are like locked. For the deck.
Yeah, but you're playing Neo form, right? So it's a card that
You have
digs
to find
pretty
Neoform.
well. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's strange. I am surprised that they're playing like 4 planning and 2 consider. I understand planning feels
Yeah.
like if you're better, but like also cuts 2 mana. Yeah, that's the only thing that strikes to me as, most likely not right on a perfect world. Where that's the only thing I can say about how I feel this deck is built.
Also,
Also,
Sorry,
Go ahead,
I was about to say Giganta is extremely powerful in that deck. Like, one of the players was streaming their tournament, and I was watching their rounds in between my rounds, and they would like so often just cast Giganta and then hardcast Atraxa.
Ooh,
That's sick, yeah.
pretty good.
The secret ability of Gigantha. Wow.
Yeah, also this deck removal. You don't want removal, so creature you don't want that much removal, do you?
Yeah, I did
No,
see a
the
game
Chris-
where you
Chris
beat
Bank deck
White
has
just
no-
by like jamming,
I-
like these crappy hooting mandrills in Gigantha. Like,
Respect the mandrills, they're good. They will call the Can's Tarmogoyf back in the day.
Yeah, that's a Legacy All-Star, Hooting Mandrills.
It's a legacy playable card. Also a multi-format superstar right now.
Yeah.
So
And one more thing, mana base wise, is that both first place and second place deck played a full playset of Mana Confluence. I was checking today the price spike of cards, and I saw Mana Confluence, and I was wondering why, but I guess I found my answer now. Mana Confluence
just
everywhere
blame Carl.
in this.
yeah, the finals were eight Mana Confluence.
Confluence.
That's a lot of a lot of damage was being taken
Anthony,
for casting spells.
did Graceland Abzan decks play 4 Mana Confluence even in the past, or is just
Not always, but I mean the very early iterations of Abzan Greasefang were just built horrendously. Like Thoughtseize wasn't even stocked to begin with, so until Jan Moritz Merkel won a challenge with it. That's how far behind the track it was to begin with. But at some point, I think Mana Confluence was not fully stocked. Like even by the time we were testing for the PT, not every list had 4 Mana Confluence in it. I have to assume it's stocked now because it is very good.
Yeah, and also Razorbarge Ticket, the new Selesnya untapped land. So obviously mana base now it's much better than we started with.
I mean, there are these 2 mana bases, 2 versions of it. There's the Tangrams 1 and the Rushi 001. Those are the 2 versions that are mostly online.
Okay.
They are built slightly different. Rushi is this player that's been playing the deck forever, whatever we said last week. The Silence 1, so the mana base, they always play like Takenuma and Boseiju.
Okay.
And which more, like the deck has more disruption or whatever. And then there's the Tangrams 1, which is the one with the Mat and the 4 mana confluences. Which is, I mean, they are kind of split. It's not like everyone's playing Rushis or everyone's playing Tangrams. There's a lot of discrepancy, but they often play one or the other. I guess going forward, the one is better than the mirror. It's maybe a good idea. Who knows? But it's
yeah. I mean, the deck is pretty color intensive.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I wonder if there's a middle ground because definitely the Tangrams 1 has a very good mana requirements. Like obviously 4 mana confluences make it so like, you clearly have enough white, green, and black. But the other one has 0 mana confluences and Takenuma and Boseiju, which are like the opposite of triple land, they're just more basics. Yeah. So one is very rich in color requirements, and one is very short, and they both need to be very functional. So my common sense kind of tells me there must be a ground in the middle ground where you add some more consistency points, but not to the point like you can probably fit like 1 or 2 spell lands if a deck that has like literally like 4 less triple lands and 2 more basics still functions quite well. So there's probably like a middle ground there.
Yeah, I mean like the first mana confluence is the cheapest one, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Like the first, like if you put Rishi's deck and you add 1 or 2 mana confluences, you're likely just adding a lot of the consistency points Tangrams is getting. But also there's this Mud. Mud is good with mana confluence. So if you don't play mana confluence, Mud is way worse, and Mud is very good with Traverse. There's more going into it. Like I think both decks are built in a very cohesive way, but at this point it feels like Tangrams 1 is way more functional because Mud and stability issues are less important there because he has a lot of more functionality. But if the metagame is a combo fest, well, the one with Silence main deck is probably better positioned in that regard. So it's yeah.
We can do that with It's not you like.
It's not exactly like that because they're playing these cards over the mods. Like mods are the ones that actually go with the confluences. So it's tricky. Like I think there might be a middle ground going forward if combat decks are more important in Pioneer because they were not that important like 3 months ago, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to see where this goes from here.
I will have to shout out Mana Confluence. For 2 reasons. First of all, if you have seen the Secret Lair Mana Confluence, it's super sweet. It's like 6 marshmallows sitting around an ice cube.
6, not 5. Are you sure it's 6?
I think it's 6, yes. And then
that's more tilting.
I mean the art is like sweet. I love that Mana Confluence. And then
why do you have 6?
I don't know.
What do you think, Carl?
They're like different colors, rainbow. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about. What was the other thing you were saying? That was
in the finals, like because I had the Mana Confluence, it won me the game 1 in finals. Like my opponent put Atraxa in play, and I needed to have red mana to flashback the Scrapwork Mat and discard Parhelion to attack for lethal.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, no, that's a very important
I
part.
remember
That's why I
yeah.
say Mod goes with Confluence. Like, if you don't play Confluence, you cannot play Mod, and Mod is very good in your deck. Like, it is extremely good in the whole shell.
Yeah, that
So
was a
it's-
really impressive card, actually. That was a new card, actually. Well, newish, I suppose.
Probably the biggest
Yeah.
difference here. I think it does. I mean, I remember in testing, like, the card was impressive, and it's just a good card in the shell. It's like a refined format with flashback. It's smaller, but it has flashback, so it's
Yeah, it has haste
might
also.
check.
It adds up. The damage adds up.
yeah.
Carl is right. There are 6 like marshmallow things. Why 6? This thing makes 5 different colors of mana, and they put 6. Oh my! This is...
I don't know. It's like, imagine you're an artist and you get asked for a card picture, and they say like, yeah, just put 6 things, marshmallows or whatever in it, and then you realize like this is for a land that gives 5 colors, but you
They're
have
very
6
clear about
things.
that. The art director like tells them, all this stuff. I imagine. So,
I don't really know what's
Then-
the lore behind this. Like, what is the secret lair drop about? Like, there has to be some reason, right? Like, it's probably some anime or cartoon, or I don't know.
yeah,
Oh, maybe it's about something that doesn't have to do with magic.
Yeah, that's
That
what
might
I
be the
guess.
case.
Yeah. I could see.
Yeah,
that.
that's. I mean, that's an easy answer, but that's probably the one that's the right one. Because a lot of these 5 mana lands, they always have like these 5 whatever, blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Oh, it was part of the Pride secret lair, so they're rainbow colors. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now we
Okay, that'd be
learned
Color
something.
is in a rainbow.
What's that?
How many colors are in
I
a
think
rainbow?
it's 7, but maybe there's like one more color in this art somewhere that I'm not understanding or something.
Okay.
Rainbows have. I don't know. I'm crippled by magic because now I think of rainbows as 5 colors. Because you say like rainbow land or whatever. So,
Yeah, all the colors are 5. Yeah. That's. I
Yeah.
don't think we can undo this. Magic players, there's 5 colors. I'm colorless also.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a lot of Gris Untold, but I think this is a very deep thing. Like I agree with the Confluence. Just like the thing is, you see Confluence and you're like, yeah, so many games I'm gonna die to them, but it actually makes the deck way more consistent, and that's because by adding this like extra color, and that's a very uncommon situation. Like usually when you have these like semi splash cards, they give power in exchange of consistency, but this time we're giving up life in exchange of consistency. That's why I think the deck works so much better. Like, I think the deck is just more functional.
If you look at this top 8, the mana confluence is not punishing at all because there is 4 combo decks, or I guess 5 combo decks and 3 control decks.
Zero. Even if you go to top 16, it's like there's two sacrifice and 2 mid-range. It's still 4 of 16. Assuming we can rack those mid-range and sacrifice, I think they do. I think they both punish lives quite well.
Yeah.
But still, like, it's 4 of 16. Like, you're playing against creativity, life just doesn't matter, And if you're mulligan less because of that. And yeah, I mean, you're right. Maybe just mana confluence is good because of the lack of aggressive decks.
Decks that punish the mana confluence, like is it Phoenix? There's no more. It used to be one of the best decks in the format.
Even mono white aggro, that's a deck that
Mono
actually
white aggro.
punish your life.
Yeah.
But if if you open with mana confluence into Thoughtseize and you play against blue white control, it doesn't matter. Like, it's fine. You're not like losing or anything because of that.
Yeah. That's a great reason. I guess similarly to why in Modern as well, the Fetchland, Shockland decks do well in the meta games where there's less burn, prowess, and etc., and less zoo and things like that.
Yeah, we'll see. It's
I mean, of course, there's less zoo. Some people have been deliberately keeping it out of their power rankings.
Oh, it's coming back. It's coming back soon. It's coming back. The zoo fans will cherish again.
Let's go.
we will.
Yeah,
I mean,
alright.
I think the deck is good enough for top 15. I mean, it's not that
There's so
bad.
many. Like, there must be something you can cut from the top 15. It just seems.
All right, so there's so many decks in the top 15, but guess what? The finals of the Modern Showcase Challenge was Dimir Mill versus Monogreentron. Expect that?
Are those 2 decks in your top 15?
Well, I recently put Mill in the 15th place, but Tron was not there.
Do you think you had
Well,
influence on this showcase because you added it to the top 15? They found the deck.
No, I don't think so. No, because the winner, Tibalt of the Subred, only plays Mill for the past, I don't know, 10 years
Forever.
probably.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like when you get paired against this player, you know it's meal. Like you know it. You don't have to, do any searching or whatever. You know they play meal. Like you don't even bother searching.
And they play Mill with the most crazy cards. Like they won with Echoing Truth in the main deck. Like what?
Another multi-format superstar.
And it's just so strange. Baleful Mastery. I don't know. I feel like this
Baleful
player
Mastery.
How sick
Well,
is
I
that
saw
card? It mills them for a card. Perfect.
Yeah.
I know. You also have Mikokoro. You know that today I streamed with this deck, and 3 times my opponent won with 0 cards in the deck. 3 times.
Well, that's because you didn't cast the Baleful Mastery.
Yeah.
Did that make you feel bad, Mango? Is it like when you play mono red and then you lose a game with your opponent on 1, and then you have to second guess literally every decision you made the whole game because maybe you missed 1?
No, because sometimes you just overmill, they end up on 0, and they kill you in upkeep. That's usually how it always went. Yeah, it's always the lethal burn.
Well, maybe that's why if Master is there, instant speed in response and draw a card.
For sure. Although sometimes the mana is not there to do it, but yeah.
It's just,
I mean, also Mikokoro, same reason, I guess.
I guess. Yeah. It's. I never played this deck, but I think every time it's playable, people play Emrakul's in the cyber for 3 weeks, and that's cycle of life for me. I think because it's so easy to beat this deck once you have sideboard, but also so hard to beat it without it. Sometimes with some decks at least. Like I assume the Tron matchup is like a buy for this deck, for example.
Not only that, you also have Surgical and Extirpate to stop the Tron from happening.
Yeah, and Ghost Quarter sideboard and Fail of Ruin main deck.
I'm not a fan of this list. I've played Mill sometimes. I always had the full playset to Soga Lantern. I think that's the best way to beat Emrakul. Like, for example, today I lost both post-cyber matchups against Creativity that had Emrakul. But I think if I had Soga Lantern in play, Emrakul does nothing because you exile the whole graveyard. So I personally would build the deck differently, but I respect this winner for putting Mill on the map.
I mean...
He's a mill
this is like the classic, very specialized player. Like this player has only played Mill for ever, so it's like at some point you have to divert for what they're doing. But like, yeah, I will definitely not change a card. If I was gonna play this deck in the dark, I will just like copy their deck list. I will not make any change. Even though I agree with you say about the Emrakul's or whatever, but like. I will be like, yeah, I'm scared of just like messing this deck up and just want to play the same 75. Like I don't want to touch their deck.
Like he must have played an incredible amount with this deck, right? Like he's probably played 1,000,000 games.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Like they also if you go back, you can see like how they play different cards, different sideboards, whatever. It's not like they play like the same 75 for all their life. They're just changing cards.
Yeah, I agree with you, Anthony. Definitely, they have played a million.
Oh my god! I don't know if you guys are doing this on purpose.
Let's talk about Tron, shall we? Javier, this is your most favorite deck, is that true?
I'm still recovering from Anthony's bad punt. Sorry. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, I mean, I like Tron. Yeah, I don't know why I like it. Yeah, it's a cool deck. It's always there. Like this, I always make this joke about like how we select these premier events, and there's always like randomly one Tron there. That at this point, I'm just kind of wondering like maybe the deck is like actually good. Like maybe it has like a decent win rate after all, because it's not the first time we analyze one of the mocks, showcase or whatever, and there's a Tron there. Right, guys?
Yeah,
last time was won by Eldrazi Tron.
Yeah, there's always a random Tron deck there. So every time we see they're not very represented. Like you play leagues and tournaments or whatever, and you never run into Tron, but there's still one in the top 8. So maybe the deck is just secretly broken or something. Yeah.
I tested for the last mocks, and we tested we were trying all the stock decks, and at certain point we were like extremely like confused what to play because everything was losing to the Eldrazi Tron deck that we knew is going to be like one person in the tournament. So until we found the Su deck, like it was very scary. Like there was a moment where I thought maybe we were just supposed to play this E-Tron deck. Like it's really good. I think Chalice of the Void is just.
For you.
Yeah, I think Chalice of the Void is very good. I don't know about the green Tron deck. I'm not a fan of that, but I think the E-Tron deck is actually like a legit real deck in the format.
Yeah, I mean they're good in different metagames. I think like Etron is good when Murtide is good. Like, Mangascade's decks are good because Chalice of the Void.
Yeah.
But like the other way around, like if you play Elementals against Tron, you're just doomed.
Yeah,
like
it's
you're
over.
just not beating this. Like if you're playing attrition decks like those and you play against Tron, you just die. Like
Well, I think I still don't like grouping them that much because they're like good in different spots. Like like Tron is very much like a big mana deck preying on specific things, and Eldrazi Tron is basically Chalice of the Void and 56 Subway rewards cards. Like I don't know. Like I think I don't really like grouping Eldrazi Tron and Tron because I think
they're different. Yeah, they're totally different. Yeah, I think they're as I said, like they're good in opposite metagames. Like I don't think there is a metagame where they're both good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they have the opposite weaknesses. Of course, there's still Tron decks, whatever, that will put them quite high in the luck deck department, I think. I mean, that's Mango department, but I would say Green Tron is probably higher in the luck deck department. I don't know with this, Mango.
Speaking of Tron and about luck deck, so today I had a league with Tron, and I think that this keeps on happening every time I play Tron on stream. I tend to keep bad hands, as in, those hands that, I don't know, lead on Forest, or just maybe have like a Tron, maybe on turn 4 with Ancient Steerings, things like that. And I think that the general consensus wants you to mulligan those hands, whereas I think that Tron should tend to keep those more often. And I think it's definitely a point of disagreement that I have with many Tron players, that I tend to keep bad hands way more often than other Tron player. I want to ask you, because both Anthony and Navier, maybe also Carl, you played Green Tron, like what's your stance on just mulliganing every hand that doesn't have Tron guaranteed on? Not guaranteed, but like Tron on turn 3, something like that.
I think it's actually very different to how it used to be. So because of the way that the reasons that you would play Tron now, assuming that you're not just a Tron simp or whatever that's going to play it in every single tournament no matter what. Like, assuming that you've decided it for a reason, which is metagame positioning. I think in the past, like, Tron was, like, a relatively fast deck, but you actually needed to mulligan to a fast hand to keep up with other modern decks. But nowadays, I think Tron is just a slower deck. Like, even if you always had turn 3 Tron, then whatever you do on turn 3 is not necessarily better than what they would do, especially if you're on the draw. So I think you would only play Tron if the metagame is set up in a way that is slow enough that those slower hands with Tron are actually good. So I think that if you can't keep those hands that you're keeping, that you probably shouldn't have played Tron in the tournament anyway. Because I think Tron, Tron, the way Tron fits into the metagame is different now. So the way you should play the deck should also be different, if that makes sense.
Carl?
I haven't played Green Tron in many, many years. I remember I top-aided one BTQ like, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, but about the E-Tron deck, I think the new card, there's like this uncommon tablet that looks at top 5 with a land in hand. That card makes the deck it makes the deck so consistent as well. But in that deck you can also just keep way more hands because you have the Eldrazi temples and things like that. I do like, my feeling is that you should mulligan pretty aggressively though because of the new mulligan rule. But I don't know.
Yeah, so today, Javier, do you have something to say about this?
Yeah, I mean, I can if you want to. Yeah,
go ahead. Of course, I want to.
So for me, I mean, I've actually played Tron for a lot of tournaments or whatever. I think Tron was actually always secretly somewhat of a control deck. Like, often you need your thing to be good against their thing. Like, it's not a 2023 thing. Like, before, if you're going to draw and your card didn't match their cards, that will not be good enough. So I think this thing is like, it's very matchup dependent to start with, and also like very play and draw dependent. Usually, I think a lot of the cards Tron play are actually better if they are like answering their thing, or they don't care. Like, you don't care if they have the thing or not. Like, if you play a Runcal Engine against an aggro deck, it doesn't matter if it's like sooner or later, right? Like, you want to play it. I think the hands that are bad are those that are actually like halfway. Like, you're a control deck that needs Tron to function, but if you have something that accomplishes something in the game, and you have like this like turn 4 guaranteed Tron, like turn 4 guaranteed whatever, these hands tend to be good, and they're also often one draw away of becoming like super good hands. But those hands that are like, like two pieces and some cards, those are not good. Even if they have like a lot of cantrips or whatever, they're just like, you need too much to get there. So for me, you can keep these low hands as long as it has like this like consistency thing. Like you want it to have this thing. Like even like, these hands were like full Tron or whatever, not too much. That's fine, I think. I think the deck is like consistent enough on that level that you can just keep those hands, but also just mulligan those in the middle. Yeah. So I think you can keep. I think the traditional Tron range is usually a little bit too tight. Like they mulligan a little bit too much. That's my impression.
So today, for example, I had a league. Went well. I went 5-0, although I mostly played against. I played against two Murktide, and I 2-0'd both of them. And both of the times I lead with Forest Ancient Spherings, which is obviously not what you want to do. But I had Sylvan's Grind, I had Expedition Map, so I was. And also, how like sometimes you mulligan to 5, you have your path to Tron, but your opponent just spell pierces or counterspell your spell, and you don't get to Tron anyway. So I just like to have my hand with at Warping Whale and things like that, and I was just happy to keep my 7. And overall, I think that they were good choice of mulligan, and this is not notoriously what Tron players used to do. If you would tend to maybe mulligan those hands. So this is what I wanted to share with you and with the listeners.
How did your league go?
Also, cards like Gigantha leave you. So go ahead.
I was just curious. How did you do with the deck, Mango, in the league?
Yeah, again, I went 5-0. I beat 2 Murktide. I beat 2 Rhinos, 2-0. I think, I don't know, I guess I never really had those like busted draws. I think I only had one natural Tron. Most of the time it was just like this low machine that has just gets there. I beat a deck with like a Field of Ruin and some Recursion. I don't know. I felt like it was a good deck. I was very surprised. I mean, obviously, I drew well because otherwise you don't do like these small results in this 5 matches league. But I liked it.
The luck deck, looks good when it works, but when you don't play Magic. That's a lot. You play one more league and you will see. I was not saying, yeah.
No, that's why he can't play any more leagues. He has to, you got to quit while you're ahead. Yeah.
So Cityscape Leveler and Gigantha, like these two cards actually make it so the Tron deck floats a little bit less, which was a concern before. Once they banned the Ayafogging thing, whatever, like sometimes Tron didn't have enough threats, and I think those threats are relevant in this deck. Again, Gigantha just keeps being relevant. Like it's good in your form, good here. It's just a good card in many decks like this.
Yes, Cityscape Leveler dodging counterspell against Murktide is huge.
Yep,
really
absolutely. Yeah, it kills 2 Mortides. That's a lot of killing without through counterspells.
Yeah, I would say that Tron is a reasonable deck. Probably will be featuring in the top 15 that I'll be making the next days of my modern league. Although now it looks tight.
What are you gonna knock off? If you have to fit in Zoo and you have to fit in Tron.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And
Mill.
Mill.
I can't cut Mill. I can't cut Mill after it. I mean, I have to find something to cut off. I mean,
not Merfolk, right? Not Merfolk.
I already cut it a few months ago.
Yeah, obviously.
It's time to change it.
Yeah.
Change it to top 20.
No, I mean, I know. I actually asked Reed about it because I was like, there's so many decks. I want to do top 20. Maybe I can cut Blue Eye Control. What do you guys think about that?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes the meta game better if you got Blue White.
Exactly.
Makes play.
What do you mean?
Makes playing Modern more fun. Like the games go faster.
Yeah, less people go to time. You have less waiting between runs in Magic Online. It's just upsides. Yeah.
No, but like it's just dropping from top 15. Everyone that owns a modern blue-white control deck will keep on playing to everyone.
No, my impression is that everybody just plays what Mango says.
No,
I have heard that.
Yeah, exactly, Mango. Do it for the people.
The people. Okay, so there was also a, I guess we haven't mentioned it yet, but the Energy series that happened I believe in Chicago, had a lot of players, both from Pioneer and Modern, and both of them were won by the same person, which is amazing. Congratulations, Steven Dykeman, for this like huge achievement. Like back-to-back win is, wow.
That's not a common occurrence. Like it does not happen easily. Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, they got the job done in Pioneer with Shota's List of Rakdos, and they also won in Modern with Team Arinus featuring 3 copies of Fable of the Mirror Breaker, just what we talked about in last episode, right?
I still feel it's a strange number of fables.
3 Fable, 1 Murktide Regent, that was the 4 flex slots, which is much different than the list that instead Oliver Tomaiko top 8'd with. There's 3 Team Arenas in this top 8, and he had a crazy amount of Mystical Dispute, 3 of them in the main deck.
I am so impressed
He said
by
he wanted a 4th.
I am so impressed by Murktide Regent in those decks. Like, whenever I used to play Rhinos or play against Rhinos, I would always think that, okay, like a sideboard engineered explosives just destroys the deck. But now they have a threat that, like, you don't really, like, you need to sideboard your deck in a different way to play against this version, and I think that's very impressive for the Rhinos deck. So I have really high hopes for Rhinos going forward in Modern.
Yeah, like I think the original the original power behind the blue-red Murktide decks was that it could like fork your answers between 1-drops and Murktide, but forking them between Murktide and Rhinos is even harder. I think that's where Murktide really excels. I think so. It's interesting they found that shell for it.
It's a very good idea.
And yeah, the rest of the top 8 of the energy event is pretty diverse. I would say the classic best decks in the format featuring, with a couple of creativity, a couple of Murktide, yeah.
No Tron this time somehow.
Yeah, no Tron in paper.
And also Hammer has not been going through a very good time. I played Hammer. I went to play some tournament this weekend with Hammer, and yeah, I can see why it's not doing very well. Like I faced like Wear and Tears, Force of Vigors, and like all my opponents had a lot of hate cards for this deck that is not played as much, and I just felt like this is a position where I would rather play Footfalls over the Hammer, just until there's a lot of hate for the Cascade and not for Hammer.
Yeah, I was considering knocking Hammer down to the top 5 for the first time ever since MH1.
Yeah, I agree. I think I used to be a Hammer player for a long time, but I just haven't wanted to play it because I just feel the metagame is so bad for it. My pet deck right now is Su, but I'm also like, I don't want to hold you accountable. Like, you don't have to put it in the top 15. I think Su was great for a moment. Like Su is really good if the best decks are the blue-red decks, Murktide, creativity and Breach. But I feel like there's like a resurgence of Solitude decks and elementals and decks like that, and it makes the deck just it's more difficult to play against like this kind of decks.
I would say that overall there was a resurgence of elementals, but to me it was kind of like, how do you say, like there wasn't really an explanation, just that people played more elementals. I personally don't think that the elementals deck is that good ever since they banned Yorion. It saw a lot more players, so I had to adapt my Murktide list to elementals. But I think that now creativity is so much more popular than was before, also because such a great matchup against elementals and just more good matchups in the room. But overall, it's just not a big fan of the elementals in the meta game, and still played, but I just don't like it.
I talked with Stefan, Mental Misstep, who got 4th place in the showcase in Modern, and he chose elementals just because of the metagame that he predicted for the tournament. And I mean, it paid off for him. He got top 4, so
Nice.
Yeah, the deck is just decent. It's good against Rhinos, right? Also, so
Yeah, it's decent.
How many cards did he play?
he played 60 cards. Yes.
60 cards, okay.
I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know. Elementals has kind of always been a metagame deck. I think even when it first came out, it was like specifically good against Murktide and Hammer, and then not that good elsewhere. But and I don't think that ever changed. As soon as the metagame like shifted away from that, I think Elementals fell off even before they banned Yorion. It was just that after they banned Yorion, it was even harder for the deck. But I think it always has been a deck that you pick when you expect a certain metagame. And yeah, like you said, the shift towards decks like creativity have meant there's a lack of reason to play elementals.
Elashnorn is a really cute new addition,
Oh
though.
jeez, yeah.
Yeah, also this version seems to be like way more streamlined. Like this is not LLM's call plus a lot of like
Yeah.
it's just like 24 lands and just like busted cards. It's just like Fable, Binding, Renan 6, Teferi, Prismatic Ending, Omnath, Quaddle, Solitude, Delos Norn, Fury. That's it. Like there's no, a bunch of one-offs or whatever. I think this deck is more straightforward now, and it looks better than the old ones in terms of like how it is built. To me, at
I mean,
least.
having a Dime Recall just makes you like it's so nice. For example, today I was playing Mill against Elementals and I lost because they always had both games Dime Recall for Endurance and they had Cavern of Souls to name Elementals. And
No, of course it's cool. No, it's cool. It's cool. Like it gives you like a lot of options or whatever. But it's a card you draw when you're in the draw against Mortad, or against
for sure. Yeah,
Rhinos.
this list with 4 Ice Fan Coatl, it's a nightmare for Murktide. Whereas the normal Elementals list, I don't mind playing as much against with my Murktide list.
Exactly. I mean, the pay is the price is obviously like you lose flexibility against decks like Amulet, for example, or whatever. But if you spec those decks, you probably will not play Elementals. Like as Anthony said, like it's just like a metagame deck. You want to play against one
That's a very
specific.
good point.
Yeah, but I think this version, I think I like this version a lot. It's just like it tries to accomplish one thing and it accomplishes it very well, I think.
Yeah. One other thing that I believe happened in this mock showcase was there was a lot of Yawgmoth, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen the 32 decks and there was a lot of Yawgmoths.
Yeah.
For example, our listeners, one of our patron, Talisker, was sharing his thoughts process in the Discord and how he played Yawgmoth. I believe he didn't make it at 4-2, but one more player made it. Overall, I would say Yawgmoth is another deck that doesn't want to face Elish Norn and the Elementals deck.
Yeah, Elish Norn apparently is just a good card. I don't know. It's just so strange. You look at it.
Yeah. One suggestion. I know this might sound stupid to some people, but if you play Creativity, Elish Norn shuts off your Archon, and the way to beat it is you make Creativity 1 more than X. Sorry, X1 more, and you target the Elish Norn as well, so you can dodge the Elish Norn.
Sure, it's like beating Grafdigger's Cage or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
What does it do if you... Wait. Grafdigger's Cage doesn't stop Creativity, right? The creatures get exiled, doesn't it?
What? No, the idea is to destroy the Grafdigger's Cage or destroy the Elish Norn with the Creativity itself.
No, but I mean, Creativity doesn't put the cards, the exalted, right? Or... Like, Creativity, the Cage doesn't stop Creativity, I think, anyway, even if you don't destroy it.
Does it not?
That is correct? Or not?
I don't think so, Javier. I think you have to kill...
You have to kill Creativity? Okay, I'm just asking.
No, I don't know.
No, you
I
don't.
remember
Just check Creativity. It does exile the card, huh?
Yeah. So one thing is this, and I want to ask a question though. What if you exile the Elish Norn and you're so unlucky that you flip another Elish Norn? Will the Archon triggers?
I believe it doesn't, no, because I read something that... that's actually a funny thing, that the opponent... there was a spell Skite in play, so the player went for Creativity X equal 2, targeting, 2 dwarves, and the armor player redirected to its own spell Skite, and so they flipped a Ashbringer, the opponent flipped Archon, and the Archon didn't trigger.
Okay, so...
Yeah, I guess they come in simultaneously.
So I recommend not flipping... if you go for the Mengu professional play, I recommend not flipping another Elish Norn. That will be my input on the situation.
Yeah, I remember doing this against Tron. I was playing Creativity, and I targeted my opponent's creature, and they flipped 2 sphere or star or whatever, and I felt clever. Yeah,
Neat.
yeah. It's a play that I often do when I play Creativity. There's a lot of versions of Creativity, by the way, now going on. Sebastian Pozzolist, for example, that made top 4, doesn't play Fire Ice. He plays 3 Prismatic Ending and 2 Expressive Iteration, something I haven't seen in Creativity yet.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I mean, I get why we want iteration, but it's strange here.
Yeah, more answer to Ragavan, because it's one of the easiest way to lose for Creativity is to face Ragavan on the draw and don't have removals before it.
Yeah, they also probably like ending overall, right? Like they must like it overall, otherwise they will not play it here. But if you play against Yawgmoth, is ending better than something like Fire and Ice? Maybe.
The best use for Fire and Ice is against, for example, Murktide, when you tap end of turn the land that they have out for
yeah.
heat or counterspell. Yeah, most notably, when you play Fire Ice in these combo decks, same thing for Rhinos, is you don't upkeep tap the land like you would do in control deck, but you hold it for end of turn so that your opponent ships up their plan, maybe taps 1 mana for a DRC, holding up something else, and then you tap the land end of turn.
Oh, Fire Guy is so good.
Yeah. It's kind of slightly different than the one in Blue Eye Control. Also, another thing different from Sebastian Pozzo list, which is nice, he doesn't play Blood Crypt anymore, but he plays 2 Black Triomes.
Is this for the Lena Mining, right? I assume.
Yeah. You still play the black mana for Leyline Binding, but you also play it to Arcast Archon. You used to play 1 Triome and 1 Blood Crypt. Now instead it's 2 Triomes. So, it's those little things that might, it's interesting as a player. You want to read into every changes that happens in those. Like when a very good player like Sebastian Pozzo picks up a list and changes something, there must be a reason. Like when Javier cut Urbor from Rakdos, for example.
That wasn't that complex. That's because it sucks.
Yeah.
Well, everybody plays it, so there must be...
What about
They don't know it sucks. It's very simple.
Sebastian has abundant growth in sideboard. It's a really interesting card to have.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of... thank you for mentioning it.
A huge fan, I will say,
Yeah.
even.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of Abundant Grow. I pray its job, and every time I play Creativity, I think it's one of the best way to beat Bloodman.
Also, 1 Strike It Reach, so I guess he didn't want to play too many Abundant Growth, right? Because I assume the card has the same job, or am I missing
I was
something?
pretty impressed by Strike It Rich when I played that deck, honestly. I was surprised.
But why
Yeah,
is it
so-
on the sideboard? Like, is it against Blood Moon, or
I
like...
think so. At least that's what I was using it for.
Yeah.
Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, so I went to play Strike It Rich because there happened sometimes that my opponent went Blood Moon and I just didn't draw Abundant Grow early, so I had some live draws to top deck if I had Strike It Rich in my deck. But then I practiced tens of matches against Scam, and Strike It Rich was not good because my opponent kept having engineered explosives after I played my Strike It Rich. So I like the split here. I think they serve different purposes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Maybe, yeah. Also, Strike It Rich is for when you want to be fast, maybe against Burn.
Oh, yeah. I also
Cool,
bought
yeah.
it in there. Yeah. Just for like pure speed.
Yeah.
Won me a game, I guess, because I was able to make a token more cheaply than they might have expected otherwise.
Yeah, I'm surprised only 1 Wear Tear and no Naturous Claim anything, so that might be a little bit light. I guess you have the ending main deck for the Umber matchup.
Yeah, but there was not too much Hammer in the showcase, so it was a good call. Like, yeah, I mean, there was no Hammer in the top 16. Hammer just, like, being hated out. Like, yeah, I played against Creativity in my local tournament, and they had, like, I don't know, a bunch of Wear Tears, like 4 or whatever, like... like it's just... It was a good call for Posta because, yeah, 0 copies is not too many. I think...
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Wear Tear. I think every deck of mine that has Boros lands, it's so good. Wear Tear is such a busted card.
I mean, is that true, though, if you don't play against Hammer? Like, look at this top 16. Is there any deck you will want Wear and Tear against in the whole top 16 in the mocks? Like, Tron?
So Wear Tear
That's it?
is excellent against any Urza Saga decks. There's a bunch of them.
There were not any
No, yeah,
in the
for
top
sure.
16. Like,
Yeah,
there was
yeah, this
one
is a-
affinity. That's it. Like, that's...
Yeah, this is a good meta call, I would say, for a winner's meta game. But if you have to approach, I would say, an open field like might be the LMS in Prague, you will definitely face Urza Saga decks.
We'll see, though. Like, if the good decks are Creativity, Rhinos, and Mortide, those are decks that do not play Saga. But also,
Yeah, but
they are
you-
good against Saga. Like, Mortide
but
region
you
with
know
all these
water.
Blood Moons, they're good against Saga. Rhinos are good against Saga also if you play Blood Moon as well. It's
Yeah.
Prismatic Command, also very good against Saga decks, regardless.
Notably, though, Pozzo plays 0 copies of Prismatic Command. I forgot to mention that one.
Yeah, but I think because he plays the Prismatic Ending there, they are all
Yeah, but
prismatic
Command
cards.
is so nice that you can target your treasure with creativity.
No, absolutely. I think that I like the card in the shell, but I mean, if he cut it for ending, he just was very sure he was expecting against decks like Shadow, there wasn't the top 8. Prismatic Ending is like a super premium card, where Prismatic Command is like medium. So
Yeah, shout out to this player Magic Dan. He always plays Shadow. has some good results with it. I believe he won the LMS in Paris with it, and has a lot of MTGO results with this deck. Just his pet deck. Is the Shadow Master, and he top 8 it again. Would you still play Zoo, Carl, if you had to play a Modern event this weekend, for example?
If I would play Modern this weekend, I think I would play Rhinos with Murktide. And
you would play. Okay,
and like I just think it's the best deck right now. There's also another interesting deck that one of my friends 5-0'd LCQ with, which is like the Devoted Druid combo. That's yeah, with Tyvar, and it's really cool that Tyvar gives haste to the Devoted Druid, so you can combo on the same turn when you get the Druid in play. I think those decks, like, I don't really know how good they are, but I see a lot of potential there to tune. But if I would have to play like a tournament this weekend, I don't think I would have a list ready yet.
Team Marina is always very much represented in the paper events. So yeah, maybe players should play more copies of Murktide Regent in the Rhinos deck, because it's usually X equal. There's always a couple of instants in your graveyard. You have early removal spell, you cascade into Footfalls quite commonly. So yeah, it's definitely a card that's underplayed in Rhinos.
Yeah, also one more thing about this Mogs, just like there's only one region in the top 16. Like, also not a very good weekend for Murktide Regent as well.
Is it ever?
I think we could see a world where this just Murktide Rhinos becomes like the best deck or whatever. We'll see.
The best Murktide deck is finally changing.
We finally realized it.
Yeah.
All right. What about we move into the format of the people?
Yay!
No, not yet. Not yet. That'll be for the end.
No, I mean standard.
Oh. Those people. Okay.
The other people.
Wow.
Yeah.
The other people. All right. Yes, let's talk about it. There was a couple of regional championship happening in Canada, in the city called Ottawa, Soaring City, and in China. I don't know which city it was. I'm gonna guess Beijing.
I think maybe it might have been Vancouver.
What?
No, in China. In China.
Vancouver, China?
Yeah.
Okay. So the tournament in Canada has a legend in the first place. Not the deck as per Legends, but Alexander Hain. I'm so glad to read his name, because that means I'm gonna meet him again in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I'm a big Hain fan.
He's truly a legend. I am also a big fan. Yeah.
Very happy.
The literal funniest Magic player on the planet, Alexander Hain. So
Definitely the
After
funniest
you?
on Twitter.
no, Hain is easily the first. I think it's not even close. Like, Hain is by far the funniest.
And Hain played Esper Legends without wedding announcement in the main deck, just 3 in the sideboard. Although the winner, I guess we must mention him before moving into decks, it was Philippe Guerreux on mono white mid range.
Again.
Not mid range.
Again, what you say
But
again?
it's also the previous. Canada has 2 regional championships split into East and West, and the other one was also won by mono white control. So.
Is this a Tron effect where we're just saying how the deck is bad, but yet it just keeps winning tournaments?
But like,
the top 8 as
clearly
well.
mono white is a better deck than Tron, though. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it's
it's
not
like,
that
we always think like this deck is bad or whatever, that still keeps winning again and again. Like, it's been there for...
Yeah, it's also playing a card I've never read before, Mondrak Glory Dominus in 2 copies.
Well, I thought this was like a commander card.
Wedding announcement.
Yeah.
To make wedding announcement, you make 2 tokens.
oh no, that's not the exciting one. It's way better with Reckon and Bankbuster. That's the one that gets you going.
So you get
you
2
get-
tokens, 2 treasures?
Yeah, 2 treasures, 2 pilots.
I mean...
Very
It's
exciting.
it's not that common to flip outside, unlike wedding announcement, which is very
It's
easy
not that
to
hard
trigger.
because you just hold your Mondrak until you can do it. Like it.
In
not
essence, this is a
actually
4/4 that cannot be destroyed, right? That's what it does
That's
here.
the huge thing as well.
Ooh, also 2 Mirex in the mana base. You can make
Mm-hmm.
2. What are they?
Mites.
Oh, for the poison kill.
Mikes.
Like a big part of
Mites,
Mondrak being
mites.
good is that like it's actually quite hard for Grixis to deal with. If you make an indestructible card and your deck naturally makes a
Yeah.
pile of tokens anyway, like how are they going to kill that? It's
They
quite hard.
really won't. That's why this deck wins tournaments after tournament.
Yeah, we started adding the commander cards, but they are very.
Do you have
They are just
Yeah.
good
Do you like mono white?
Yeah, I think
Carl?
mono white is a good deck. I personally, my favorite deck is Grixis, and I just think it's the best deck.
Great deck.
And I think I don't know why everybody seems to think that Esper is like the better deck. Like, I feel like what is happening is that the better players are playing Esper, and then the deck keeps winning more because of that. And
I can see that. I mean, I think they're very close anyway, so the better
Yeah,
players
like-
play one that's easily enough to tip.
I mean,
Like-
I have a lot to say about Standard in a way, because we tested this format so much for the World Championship last year, and I was like very close to playing Grixis, but in the end, like, what pursued me to play Esper was that I just thought that Esper would be better against like all the random decks people could bring, and then it ended up being that 69% of the players brought Esper. So I wish I would have played Grixis, and it worked out for Nathan. I think in the mid-range mirrors, it's pretty clear to me that Grixis is favored, but like against like all kinds of random decks, that people can play, I think Esper has a larger edge against those decks, and that's why like you should play this deck maybe. I think the mono white deck is like a good deck. It has good things going for it, but it wouldn't be the deck I would play, especially in paper. Like, I would be so worried about timing out. And I like the people who
Really
like
big
win with
concern.
this deck in tournaments. They must be playing at really fast pace, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't remember the stats exactly, but I know Mog looked at the win rates for the standard decks in various RCs, and he noted that mono white's win rate was artificially depressed because it had so many more draws than other decks. So that's kind of, that's something to really think about, because I think a lot of people practice on Arena and maybe aren't fully cognizant of that switch to paper, where this is the one deck that gets penalized the most heavily. What else do we have? So if we look at the Canadian top 8, so we have a couple of mono white decks. We have a one that we haven't seen before, a Jeskai control deck, which is that's one that we just would never have guessed was going to perform at all. Like, I don't think Jeskai control was on anyone's radar, right? Like, have you guys?
Well,
played
they
this
won a
thing?
challenge, I think, 1 week before Naples. Like,
It's pretty different,
I'm
though.
pretty sure.
That was Toby and
Yeah, it's a
Nappy's,
different
right?
build. It
Yeah, that's
doesn't have
very
anything. Yeah, but it was also a control, so just cars the player like. That's it.
Yeah, like this deck has multi-format all-star Secrets of the Key.
Yeah,
Broader
also
winner.
that.
Secrets of the Key.
It's very different. Yeah, Secrets of the Key.
Broader winner. It has to be one of the worst cars to win a PT
Do
in the last
you
decade
think
or
it's
so.
better or worse than
think it's
Healer's Hawk?
That's a
That's
tough question. I think it's worse in Pioneer than Hill's Hawk is in Standard.
That's legit. Yeah,
I think this card is worse than Hill's Hawk. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I think it is. Yeah, this
What
is.
about Judge Familiar?
I don't think Judge Familiar is a bad card.
yeah. Let's see. Come on, like that one's clearly way better than Secrets of the Key.
Yeah, I think Familiar is a fine card. Like, it has like a lot of prototypes, right? Judge Familiar. So
Yeah, multiple prototype.
yeah, that's you cannot call the card bad if it's a 4-off in multiple different decks in multiple partners. I think Mango.
What do
No,
we
Secrets of the Key.
think might have opened the door for Jeskai Control to reappear? Well, I guess not.
I think
reappear.
nothing. I think the
Nothing,
door
just-
is not open. I
this
think
door is not
this
open,
player
just
just decide to play control and is just won a lot of matches.
Nice.
That's my impression.
But
They
I
just
think
won matches.
the actual breakout deck for the Canadian RC was Rakdos midrange, right? So if you actually
Yeah.
look, there's no Grixis like anywhere, like in this entire top
Zero
16.
Grixis in top 8.
Yeah,
And
Even
top
top
16 as
16.
well.
Yeah,
just
that's
no
just
Grixis.
wild. That's
And-
wild.
And it was the most popular deck.
which is really a resounding failure when you think about it. But
It is. It is. It is.
Shout
really
out
bad.
to Eduardo Sachkalik and their team, by
Yeah.
the way. They played this Rakdos midrange deck, which is like almost like a
yeah,
like kind of a burn-like deck with Graveyard Trespassers, 4 of them, 2 Bloodthirsty Adversary, and
and
Yeah.
the Transmogrants.
4
yeah,
cut
like-
down also.
When I started playing Standard again, if you remember, talking about in the podcast, it was a time where Grixis was downtrending and Rakdos was uptrending. And I believe the reason was because Blue White Soldiers just came out to be a popular deck. So I would say that the reason that players went Rakdos is because they expected more aggro decks.
So it wasn't only that, it's because basics are actually quite good now. So for example, if everyone playing Grixis is trying to get each other with a Razorlight Transmogrant, having Transmogrant and also basics is quite strong, I think. And there are some other things as well. Like for example, you would note that the previous Canadian RC was won by the mono-white land destruction deck with 8 Field of Ruin. So that's like another reason that having a very stable mana base is appealing, I suppose. So there, I mean, I think the Rakdos midrange deck is it's really just about the fact that basics are good, right? That you're willing to give up some stuff to be able to play basics. But I think it's pretty
top hated again.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff, you know, with like Archfiend of the Dross, which was a card that hadn't really seen any play until now, but is appearing in some of these Rakdos aggro decks as well.
I mean, it has to be against Esper, right? Like
I
you play
think
this
so,
against
yeah,
Esper,
because I think flying is massive, yeah.
It's a big guy against Esper. They're not killing this.
Yeah, it's hard for them to kill. They like black removal. I mean, it's just extra shielders, you know. You just play like some giant 4-drop that's hard for them to deal with.
Yeah, why I wanted to mention this deck is because they had actually like the best win rate of any archetype in this tournament of the like highly played decks.
Yeah.
Like 6% of the field was Rakdos midrange, and they had 61.5% win rate.
Yeah, which is why
That's a
it's
lot.
sometimes important to like check things out. Just like if you look at the top 8, it looks like there's one Rakdos midrange, but then you look at 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th are all playing this Rakdos midrange deck, and you know strong players all like Joseph Karani and Eduardo Sajgalik both playing this Rakdos midrange deck. So like strong players chose to play it, and they did very well with it, like much higher than expected. And I don't know, like having played the Grixis deck, I felt that the blue cards were so important. So it's a big sacrifice, but you know the results really speak for themselves. I think in this case, and there was another deck that people hadn't really expected to come as well, like Pascal Maynard's green-white enchantments deck. He made 15th with it, and this was a deck that existed like, well, I want to say like 2 sets ago. People were playing.
Yeah, I think it was
right?
a deck even in the last format, but
yeah,
it got a little bit
kind of
hated
a
out of the
wild card.
format.
Like,
I think because people were playing like a lot of Destroy Evils in main deck, and then it was not so easy to play this deck.
yeah. There was also Farewell, which is just like, you know, hilariously busted against this deck. But it's come back in Maynard's hands, and you obviously naturally seen this kind of deck online a bunch because it's quite an appealing deck. I think the main appeal of this deck is to prey on Grixis, which makes me wonder if there's much point going forward if Grixis will decrease in popularity a lot. Maybe it's still strong against the Rakdos versions as well. I could see that. Although probably less so since they're more capable of being aggressive. But yeah, it was cool to see there was like some new decks popping up in standard still relatively late into the format. It's also kind of funny because after seeing these RCs, I think, do you know which ones are left? Is it just the US?
I think the
Or
South
other
American
ones?
one hasn't happened yet. It might be next weekend.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, South America
That's my
as well.
region, by the way. Shout
But,
out.
Oh, nice.
No, I'm going to skip it
Good
because
play.
the flights are a bit too expensive. Like $600 for me, so I can't really afford it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're already qualified, right? Yeah. So, yeah, but you look like like all different decks have won. Like the RCs, like 3 were won by Grixis, so Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and Brazil were won by Grixis. The 2 Canadian ones in China were won by Mono White. Japan was won by Toxic. That was one that people definitely didn't expect. Looks like a draft deck, and now it's like a real force in the metagame. Southeast Asia by 5-color Domain, Mexico by Reanimator, Taiwan by Soldiers. Which is actually kind of funny because Esper is sort of, you know, a lot of people perceive that to be the best deck now and hasn't won one yet, so it's got a couple
Yeah,
more tries yet,
Grixis
but-
has 3
Yeah.
wins and Esper has
Like-
0 wins. I mean, which deck is better?
Yeah, scoreboard.
Yeah,
Exactly.
results. Yes, Carl.
We
you
believe
got
in
it right.
results. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not often that you would expect like, you know, a big round of big tournaments in standard and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 different decks have won. So it's nice to see as well, and they're all very different decks as well. They're not like
Yeah, it seems like they have done a very good job on that regard on the balance. I guess the only concern about, like, the only complaint I will have in this format is so many of these decks are actually having trouble getting on time. That's
Yeah,
an issue, I
literally
think.
the clock.
But other than that, in terms of balance, this format looks like they did a good
it's
job
awesome.
in that regard.
I've only heard like lots of really positive reviews about it.
I know how to fix the time issue.
To say about
I
that.
would
what
like
if-
to suggest that every tournament that is important, like RC or PT, they should have just 60-minute round timers instead of 50-minute round timers.
Yeah. Axel, we said this in the last podcast. Yeah, like, now we have more technology to make the tournaments shorter because there's less dead time within pairings or whatever. Yep, it's good to say it again. I agree with Carl.
And those are the tournaments that you don't want. Like that's where like unintentional draws and going to time and so on are a lot more stressful and unpleasant for everybody involved. So yeah, 60-minute rounds, please.
Please.
I'm still for 50 minutes because I want to go to dinner at some point. So I like 50 minutes.
Yeah. That's democracy again, though.
Yeah. I mean, Carl is the guy who's asking you to like take blue-white control off the top 15 so that tournaments will go faster. So
I like that style, though.
No,
So
my only thing is
like
testing.
counts.
Like, I don't actually care about the tournaments, like when we're actually playing the real tournaments. But when I'm testing Modern, like I really, really love it that I can just play like, a league in 1 hour and I can just jam. Like, I remember last time there was a Modern Broader, I played like 200 matches with my deck or something because I could just jam so fast.
you can, yeah. It is kind of funny when someone will jump into like one of our Discord calls and we've been playing for 2 hours and this is match number 3. Like that is a classic standard experience.
One day, Carl, maybe you already have done this, but practicing in paper will make you feel like you're playing so much more games than it's just the motions of paper is so fast. And this is honestly one of my biggest one of the reasons why I did well in my RC is that I managed to play so many games with Calc just because we were able to practice in paper, and I want to do it again for sure for the Pero Tour, but also for the next RC in Athens, which we are already doing again paper testing. So I look forward to that.
Paper testing.
That's kind of cool as
too.
well, right? Like Athens is, I don't know, I've just never heard of a tournament there. So that's nice.
Yeah, because of that reason, I have never been there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I've been there in a school trip, so it was my school.
Must be
It's
nice.
quite different, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have anything more to talk about standard?
I think
or
it is the time, Mengu.
Can we move to the real format of the people?
Alchemy? I don't know.
I love Alchemy.
Yeah, Alchemy is
So Alchemy cards are awesome.
Yeah, who doesn't?
we all do except Mengu.
I think it's great.
If you hold up a Alchemy tournament, it will not get 614 people.
Yeah, it would get 800.
Will it though?
In paper.
Yeah.
In real life. In real life.
Oh.
No, not paper. Sorry, I
Well, you don't know that because no one's tried it. So maybe
I heard about a guy on Twitter who printed this oracle that puts black or the power 9 into your deck, and they printed it out and put it in their vintage cube, and it's supposed to be really fun.
No, that's awesome. Javier does that, right?
I actually, we actually said that. Like, it was, I saw it in the Portuguese cube, and they were great. Like, there was this card was great. There was like 2 or 3 cards. The Guardian Angel was also a very good card, very good addition to the cube, and that one was very easy to execute. Yeah, I think that those cards are very good addition to the cube, and I think they probably should add them to the vintage cube. To be fair,
What about initiative? What about initiative cards? Do you want them in your cube?
I wouldn't mind them. Like my opinion of the vintage cube is that I feel like it should have all the best, like the best of the best cards, and I have one thing about it, which is I think the answers, like they should also add better answers. Like I think it's huge that there's a red blast now in the cube, and like why not the blue blast as well? And Veil of Summer, like why are we not playing with Veil of Summer? Like it would make the cube more fun for me. I really about the power level, put back Time Vault, for example, and stuff like that. For example, Time Vault, and if you put Time Vault in your cube, you will have to put some untappers, right? And then now they're printing the One Ring, which is really cool with untappers. So that would be like a great combination of things to have in the cube, where you can go off with the One Ring, untapping it, drawing like multiple cards without losing life until your next upkeep and stuff like that.
I did. That reminds me. Speaking of Alchemy and Lord of the Rings, I kept trying to spread a rumor that the Lord of the Rings Pro Tour was going to be Alchemy. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So maybe.
Why, Anthony? Why? Why?
So I remember talking about adding Hullbreacher in the cube because there's currently not, and I got a response that it's not fun for the opponent, which I don't get. At the end of the day, I mean, not having fun when you lose, it's not my problem, and I think that there should be
Yeah, I agree.
cards in the
Hullbreacher is
cube.
a
I
real
agree with you.
tragedy. It's not in the queue, but I mean, it clearly belongs there, I think.
Yeah, I think it belongs there also, but it's fine.
But anyway, it's time to go back to a topic. Let's talk about the format of the people.
We just did.
That's Pauper.
Oh.
We had a huge event happening in northern Italy, in Lecco. 614 players. The room was basically a basketball court with, like the stadium. But in the middle, instead of the court, we just had tables for players. As always, great organization in the Italian events with lots of judges. And yeah, the tournament was super smooth. I didn't play the whole event, but I'm sure because I dropped at 4-4 with 1 bye, so it wasn't a great performance. But so I played Orzhov, which was not a great choice for my pairings because I got paired against a lot of combo decks. But overall, I wouldn't mind registering that deck again. The top 8 had 8 different archetypes. Again, you can check it all on the description of this video or on this podcast. And 2 Tron decks in the final. Great event. I look forward to play the next Paupergeddon in the summer again, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think I still want to go to one of these one day. It's maybe once I fall off the the more competitive scene, I have more time for travel for tournaments. I will definitely go to there. Or if one fits a calendar, would you want to come, Anthony? Just to live the Pauper experience. Would you want to come to one of these tournaments?
I don't have a strong opinion on Pauper that I would want to say when a lot of people who play Pauper are listening. I'm gonna ask Carl. You know what? Maybe ask Carl. I think maybe Carl has. Maybe he's not scared. All right, Carl, say something. Talk to us.
The thing about Pauper is that like if I had a psychologist, then they would probably tell me, like, Pauper, don't play Pauper. It's bad for your mental health.
Why is that?
That's just how Pauper makes me feel every time I play it.
Well, why do you like it? You said you like other consultative formats. Pauper is
the thing about Pauper is
actually very good gameplay.
The games are extremely slow and grindy, and it's just, I don't know. For me, it's too much. Like my favorite constructed format is Vintage, and then Pauper is like the literal opposite end of that. So it kind of makes sense.
That makes sense.
It is.
He just loves high power, fast games, and like this is the real opposite. I don't know, like the way I kind of feel a bit similarly. Like I even enjoy like slow grinding. It's like I love standard, but I feel like that's the level of slow and grindy that I like, and it's a certain kind of slow and grindy. Like there's still like some more dynamism in terms of how the games. Like some standard games are fast and some are slow, and you have to navigate that a lot of the time. Whereas Pauper is just always slow, at least when I played it. So yeah, just
I think it's a very good. I don't know. I think it's a very good format. Like I don't love it for big tournaments, but I think it's a very good like Friday Night Magic tournament format because you go there and you like kind of play the whole thing. Like you don't go there and just like play 10 minutes and wait for an hour because there's a blue-white control player. Like you play in Hammer and you're in 10 minutes and that's it. Like this Pauper, you play more. Like if you're gonna play for an afternoon with friends, I actually think Pauper is a very good format for that. Like if you don't have like clock, issues or whatever. Also a very good format to play online for, you play like one game before sleeping. This could be a good game for you,
Okay,
I think it has some upsides.
You're really not gonna sell me or Carl on a format by saying it's.
No, I know. I'm talking like because the reasons why you don't like it makes it appealing for some people as well.
Oh, sure. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
I have different preferences to many people out there, to be fair.
Yeah.
That's good for them.
I have a suggestion. I have a deck suggestion for you if you ever want to play Pauper, though. Wolves Combo. This is a relatively fast deck with, when you go off, it's cool, similarly to maybe Doomsday and Vintage that you like. And it's fast, and it top 8 at the event. So,
okay.
Wolves Combo. It's my suggestion.
I guess there's going to be a Pauper showcase season.
I don't think it's going to work, Mango. Not yet, though. But we will play all mono blue, so it's fine.
Mono blue Delver, mono blue fairies, you mean?
Yeah.
So the metagame was super diverse as always, with Affinity, Mono Red being the most popular deck, but none of them in the top 8. Affinity being the second most popular one in the top 8, and then Orzhov and Monoblue being the third and fourth most popular, and 0 in the top 8. So yeah, classic, just format where just everybody plays their deck, and yeah, it's cool. I think it's definitely a format of the people.
That is the format of the people.
Just not us. Of other people.
Just not you.
All
right.
I'm glad now it's balanced. I've got it's 2v2.
Do we wanna wrap it up? Do you have anything else to share with the listeners?
I want to share. I did not see this Carl answer about Pauper coming, but GG. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. I also want to thank everyone that a lot of people has written to me about like saying good things about the guide. So thanks a lot for the support. It's not gonna be a weekly thing, but I think we might try to do something like this in the future. Only if I or we have the feeling that we know the deck deep enough, right? To do
exactly.
It. So
we'll do it when we feel like it's a good time, but not,
exactly. Not something that's there's not gonna be like the deck of the week type of content. It's more like I have a lot of deep knowledge about this deck that I think it's worth writing or talking about. Yeah.
If we have something to say, we'll say it. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I did a smaller one for Chant Fireball where I, wrote my article with the Cyber Guide and also made a video of about 20 minutes talking about Grixis. So, it's definitely something that maybe, again, we can do in the future.
All right. I also want to thank Carl for coming from Colombia.
It was awesome. We were very pleased to have you.
Yeah, our democracy powers were higher thanks to you. So that was also good.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Again, patreon.com/Karnies if you want to support the stream, as well as join in the Patreon Discord where we talk about every format, and you shoot us questions, we will be answering them. And I'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Bye bye.